What's up, everybody? It's Walt Blackman, and I hope you're having a great day. What we are going to talk about today, since we've got the 4th of July coming up this weekend, first of all, let me introduce myself again. Walt Blackman, running for Congress, Congressional District 1, and that is currently occupied by somebody who's just occupying a seat, but we're not going to be talking about him. What I'm going to be talking about today, very briefly, is since it's, we're talking about the 4th of July. 4th of July is this weekend. We know what it's all about. We know the background about the 4th of July, and we know the principles of freedom and liberty for our country, and for people who love America and people who are here to that have that same goal and same principles to love our country. The deal is, though, we have lost our way. And I think we have lost our way because we haven't returned back to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are basically just, restoring the American dream. And how do we do that? Well, as we know right now, we're 159 days into the Biden administration. We know that things are worse than they were before Biden took over. President Trump had low unemployment. He had a sky record high of Black Americans buying homes. We were working well with our partners overseas, and we were making folks keep up to their end of the bargain when we're talking about NATO, when we're talking about the Iran nuclear deal that we got out of because it was such a mess. And he just really made sure that we were okay. Now, the problem is we got a guy in office that has gone completely the opposite direction that President Trump went. And with that, they've taken the American dream. They've taken what it means to be a conservative and an American in this country. So, what I really want to kind of talk about today is some of my platform on restoring American dream, about what we need to do to be able to do that and to get rolling again. And as part of my congressional run, and this is what we need to do. It's important. And first of all, rebuilding the economy and creating jobs is job one. And how do we rebuild the economy? Well, first of all, we can't be in debt like we are now. $28 trillion in debt. It's climbing. By the year 2025, will be upwards to $50 trillion in debt, which is a big burden on our families and our children and taxpayers. So we need to make sure that we are rebuilding the economy, and we rebuild the economy by making sure we create jobs. We create jobs by making sure that we can get people back to work and people aren't just kind of sitting out and collecting COVID checks. And I know that's not the majority of Americans. However, we do have a certain group of folks that are doing that. We're just hoping that the economy can be stimulated enough to where we can get people back to work, and that's important that we do that. We also need to be thinking about a fair and simple tax system and tax growth. Here's the deal. Our tax structure right now, it's complicated. And most folks who own a business, who have more assets than you can shake a stick at, have to have an accountant or have to have somebody who understands those tax codes, who understands the growth is involved with it. So what we need to do is have a system that is fair with a simple tax growth to it. But however, fair does not mean robbing the rich, because I don't think it's right to be able to take somebody's money because they've made a lot of money and penalize them for making that money. That's the wrong answer. So in order for us to do that, we need to have a fair and simple tax program and a tax growth. And we need to make sure that we are grounded in our tax principles. As conservatives, we don't want to tax. We don't need to raise tax. We need to find ways in the federal government to find that waste and abuse and make sure that we can streamline using process like Lean Six Sigma, so we are not wasting tax dollars. We don't have big government approaching on us, and that we are making this a simple formula. Most importantly, we need to be competitive. And how do we become competitive in our country? Well, it starts with education. We need to get back to the basics when we're talking about K through 12 education. Now, they have taken a lot, the left has taken a lot out of education. As we know that there are some schools you can't pray in. There's some schools that don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance in. There are a lot of these things that are going on. We need to get to the basics. And the basics of school are making sure we are teaching American history in our school. We are teaching civics. We are teaching the Constitution. And we are also making sure our kids are getting prepared for those types of courses like math and science because we have to compete globally. And it doesn't mean that we are globalists. What it means is that when our kids are in the position that we're in right now as adults, that they can compete around the globe because the way the internet has taken off, the way that you can do business in Tokyo and have your headquarters in the United States. That is a big deal. We need to make sure our kids are able to do that, and we do that by making sure our educational structures are sound, that we are funding education, and most importantly, that the United States Education Department, Department of Education, does not get in the way of states because that's a big problem. And if we don't do that, if we don't get federal government out of the way of the states, let the states educate their kids, let them do what is necessary in math, science, and all those things that I talked about, then guess what? We're gonna be okay, and we are going to be able to move forward. Another thing that we have lost and since the Biden administration is that we're not competitive anymore. When Donald Trump was in office, we were a competitive America, and we don't see that too much anymore because we have handout and federal giveaways. Again, the debt is $28 trillion. We know that's going to hurt us, and it is taking us out of the road or the path to be more competitive as Americans. We are being hamstrung by debt, and if we don't get a if we don't work on this debt, if we don't move our way out of this thing, we're going to have some problems. And those are some of the things that I was thinking about as we are moving forward. Now, one of the big things that President Trump was working on when he was in office was to make sure that we had a winning trade policy. And what this is, it makes it equal and fair across the border, across the line. But here's the deal, folks. As the Biden administration has come in and just kind of wrecked everything, our trade policies have become uneven again. So I don't believe in tariffs, but sometimes we need tariffs, and that's what President Trump was using because he wanted to make it not only a winning policy, but also making sure that it was fair across the board. You're not going to charge American goods um, for selling in your country this crazy amount of money, and you get off with pennies on the dollar when you try to trade in our country. That's something that President Trump worked on. That's something that I think we need to go back to when we have a controlled house. When we flip the house, we should be able to do that because that's important. Because that also affects our financial markets, not only here in the United States but across the globe. If our trade policies are out of whack, our financial policies and our financial markets are going to be out of whack too. And if we are not able to get a hold of those things, like President Trump's administration did, then we're going to be down the same road that we went down when President Obama was president, and so on and so forth. And we have high debt. You know the real, you know the deal, and that is a problem. Now, back here at home, what we need to do is make sure that when we have that economic growth, we have people back at work. What comes next? Responsible home buyership. Now, we know when the crash came that folks were buying homes that they couldn't afford. Are we going to have another downfall in the economy? I don't know. I'm not an economist. However, I am smart enough to know that if I cannot afford a certain dollar on a home, that I need to be more responsible with trying to be competitive and trying to find competitive rates for loans. And that is because the buying homes, that's an American dream. And if we can get more folks in home that can afford it, then that is good for America. But a lot of this deals with our economy, and a lot of this we have to make sure that we're able to take care of our country, take care of ourselves. And if we don't do that, then we're going to have problems. Something else we need to be thinking about is America on the move. Now, these are basic tenets that we get from the GOP platform. America on the move. Now, what is America on the move? That means we're moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. That means that we are not looking behind. That means that we have smaller government, smaller taxes, and we need to make sure that we get government, federal government, out of the way of American taxpayers. and out of the way of states. And if we do not do that, then we are just going to get in the way, and we're going to see the type of problems that we see right now coming out of the Biden administration, and high gas taxes. Milk has gone up. I mean, I built my truck up the other day. Usually it's only about 85 bucks. Cost me 100 and something dollars just to fill up my truck. And that is a problem. America on the move, we have to make sure that we have control of this financial markets, and that we are not overtaxing people with service tax and so on and so forth. We also need to build a future in technology. Technology is taking off. It's leading the way. And we're not going to be able to hide in the hole and not be able to move forward without technology. And if we don't do that, if we don't build our technology in a way that we can keep up with the rest of the world, we are going to have problems in this country. And able to do in order for us for to do that, we need to have a house to be able to do that and be able to talk about these real issues. So how do we do all of this? And I just mentioned a few things. I'm not going to go through every single one of them today. I'll go through them later on. We need to make sure that we have the type of America that is ready to get back to work, that is ready to move forward, and that is ready to take the bull by the horns to be able to do that. And how do we do that? We get involved. We get involved by making sure that we have confidence in our voting systems again. Now, as you know, in Arizona, they're doing the vote count in Maricopa County. What's going to come out of that? I don't know. However, I do hope what comes out of it is that restored confidence in our voting system, because that's important. Because if we don't take care of that first, a basic American right and liberty to do is to vote, if we have questions and doubts about that, then we're going to have problems. We won't have people show up at the polls. So that's a big deal to make sure that we do that, to do all these other things as we move forward, America on the move in our country. Last is about the border. Now, as we know, 1,000 people cross the border every single day. We have open borders right now. And the problem is not so much the families coming across the border, in my opinion, because I've been down to the border. The problem is more of the people that we are not seeing that are sneaking across the border, that happen to be coming across in a way that is a tactical formation, and in a way that they are just coming across, infiltrating our country, and causing us to have issues in our country. Now, those issues are higher taxes, higher service taxes, because we got to pay for all these things. Now, America is the best place in the world, and I encourage people to come to our country. However, there's a way to do it, and that way to do it is to come through legally, not to come through in the back door, not to come through in the cover of darkness, not to come through in the desert where you may lose a family member or what have you. Okay, many people have crossed our borders and have done it the right way. There is no reason to have the type of open borders that we have, and people are coming through, and people are either dying in the desert or they are just getting through, and there is no accountability of those folks coming through. It's important that southern border states like Arizona are able to, Southwest, are able to close their borders. That means we need to continue to build a wall. Now, federal government's not going to do that because President Biden, with the stroke of a pen, did an executive order and did away with the completion of the border. There are parts of the border that need to be complete. States can do that. Now, in Congress, what I would like to do is use some of the COVID infrastructure money that are going to the states and allow those states to do what they will with those COVID infrastructure dollars. So we know in those border states like Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, that they would be able to build and complete the wall that was started by President Trump and get out of the way of states. That is how we do it. So, with everything else that I talked about, that is the way we move forward, and that is the way we have to get in front of this thing. And if we don't get out and vote, if we don't step in front of these issues that are out there and really talk these issues through, debate the issues, and to make sure that our country is safe, then we're going to continue to go down a road that is doomed for destruction. And as we know right now, we are headed off a financial cliff that the Biden administration has taken us through, along with open borders and all the other things that we talked about. I'm Walt Blackman. I'm running for Congress. I'm running for Congressional District 1. A lot of folks ask me, why run? Why get into this madness? Because I want to do my part. I want to be able to continue to serve. As many of you know, I served 21 years in the United States Army. I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. And doing that, I was able to see and get a different perspective, a global expectations that I've seen while I was deployed, working with other units, working with other countries, and seeing how some of the other countries that were under socialism or under communism failed because of a lack of people stepping up. We need to make sure we step up. I am stepping up to run the Congress. I am stepping up to run for our district in Arizona, Congressional District 1. It's important that we all get out and try to do our part. I'm going to continue to do mine. What I would like for you to do, if you look on the bottom of the screen, you'll see my website, www.blackmanforcongress.com. If you are interested in joining the fight, if you are interested in volunteering, if you're interested in donating, which we need a lot of donation dollars, then I encourage you to go to my site. Click on for volunteering. You can hang up a sign, you can knock on doors, you can make phone calls, you can do everything that's in your power to do and to make sure that we restore greatness to our country, greatness to our state, and then greatness just all around to Americans. Now, what I want you to do tomorrow is the start of the 4th of July weekend. And when you go out and you see the flags and you see the fireworks and you are taking a part of the activities and the events that are going around in your community, I want you to stop and think about what got us there, what the true meaning of the 4th of July is: independence. It's a state of independence, that we are independent thinking people that are Americans, that cherish our liberties, that cherish our freedoms, and that have a constitution to guide us through. The founders put that together. So when you're out there this weekend, think of that. It's not just about hot dogs and parades and what have you. It's about our country. This is a way that we remember our country. We show thanks to our founding fathers. We show thanks to those that have gone before us. And particularly, we show thanks to our Constitution of the United States of America. I'm Walt Blackman. I hope you have a pleasant, and safe 4th of July. I'm with you. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to be there up front. Please go to my website, www.blackman.com. And if you would like to donate, don't hesitate. Take care, everybody. I will see you around. God bless you. God bless our state. God bless our country. And God bless you.